Talk shoes. Recorded live.
All right, we're back on the Politics and Preppers podcast Saturday night, 9/1/12. It's already the beginning of the month. And we're getting closer to what has been going around the internet and gun shows and some of the radio shows is the possibility of Obama and his group causing a false flag, another false flag event, especially if it looks like he's not going to win. So he can create chaos, take over, suspend the elections. And, there's a lot going on about that. And, Al, I'm sure you've heard about it. You keep up with this type of topic pretty much. And that's part of what we're going to talk about on the show. And I'm thinking, anyway, let me go back. This is the Politics and Prepper podcast Saturday night. We're here every Saturday night. It's at TalkShoe.com. And the call ID number is 120315. You can join us there. But remember, if you're a liberal, don't bother, because this is the no liberal zone. We don't have time for you. Go away. Go find something else to do. And so a lot of what's been in the news off and on for a while, it's really getting out there right now. And hopefully by the information being leaked from some people well-connected, supposedly well-connected, to certain law facets, whatever. Anyway, there I go stumbling. There's been a lot of talk about Obama not being reelected, and he is the type that would go with just about anything to get reelected, even if it meant millions of people dying or hundreds of people dying, depending on how it worked out. Because, I'm pausing here because I'm not really sure how to say this. I don't trust him. I think he wouldn't care how many people died if it meant he got to be president again. Personally, I don't trust him. I've seen the kind of people he grew up with in college, in high school, well, maybe not high school, but in politics after college, who some of his teachers were, some of his mentors, the people he surrounds himself with now. Some of them have been in jail for blowing people up and things up. Some of them have written some pretty raunchy stuff. and just basically, socialist views, communist views, people willing to go out and to get what they want or the way they think things should be, they will commit murder. Nowadays, we've been calling it this for a long time, terrorist acts. And since he surrounds himself with those type of people, and we know we've had false flag events in the past, Fast and Furious, that's pretty much a given that they're not even denying it didn't happen. And now that it got some bad news, some bad airtime, and some of the things are coming out how bad it was. At first Obama was taking credit for it, and then as soon as it got bad, he started backing away, and now they're arguing about who knew what when. And then information comes out that higher-ups knew about it much before they said they did. Now that in itself killed, some people say hundreds, some people say thousands. I don't know what the actual number is, but there's no argument that it did happen. So if they're willing to do that, what would they stop? Let me just a second. What Now, they know I'm in here doing the show, and they still do it. Grandkids, what do you do with them? Jim, is that you? Did you just come in? Okay, hang on a little bit.
All right.
So I'm struggling with this a little bit because it's not been that long since I've kind of awakened to what truly could possibly be going on, and I'm struggling with this. I don't know how to explain it. I just know that I don't trust them. If they do what they've done and they surround themselves with people that they surround themselves with that have done these kind of things, what would stop them now? And they've even got their own people on talk shows that sit there and halfway kind of joke about it, say stuff like, well, the only thing that's going to save him and get him reelected now is something like the Oklahoma bombing. And then they go, well, don't worry, it'll happen. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. And the way they're talking, it sounds like they even know what's going to happen. They already have knowledge of it or know of a plan of it. The only hope I have is that there is so much information getting out there now about this type of event, and that's a possibility. And the news that there's a whole lot of people working behind the scenes that are knowledgeable about what's going on. They're trying to prevent it from inside too, or at least if it does happen, they can stop it from getting too bad and put some brakes on it, or get the information out that it was fake so they can't use it. And the word is what they're going to try to do. And there's lots of different scenarios, but the one I'm hearing the most is that they're going to, maybe like a race war or something, or because they play up the hatred so much, and they use race so much. Maybe something like that, or the fact that, how Obama feels about us, that we the people that cling to God, guns, and country. He thinks we're the enemy. He thinks we're a joke. Whatever, it's been described so many different ways. And they're already describing people like with John Deere hats, and they're the enemy. They're the next terrorists, and they're already talking about terrorism. The biggest problem we may have in the future with terrorists is the ex-military, the John Deere hat people, the people in the country side, people that are conservative, and there's lots of different genres. Types that fit under the conservative. And I know some of y'all don't like being called conservative, but I just use it as a term because I don't want to go into explaining all the different aspects. But basically, if you're against socialism, if you're against communism, if you're against Obama, if you're against liberalism, you're the enemy. Especially if they find out that you're willing to talk about it to people, if you're got guns, you are the ones that they're going to be looking at. So anybody want to give me a break here and add anything?
I guess I'm an enemy on that aspect of things, because you just touched on about all of it. I just got through getting off with a friend of mine from West Texas, he is not actually active duty military, he's civil service. And he has enlightened me on some of it. Now, the old school military may not back him as well as some of the newer recruits, but it will be a split effort on that.
Try to speak up a little bit, Jim, if you can.
It will be like a split event if the military does get involved with it, is what he is explaining to me. He says all of it will not go for him, and some of them may very well go for it. So.
Well, that's what part of what's being planned, and the kind of people they're hiring is people that would go for it.
Yeah.
But if they try it now, there's so many that won't, and there's so many that are starting to wake up. That's going to hurt what they're trying to do. But I think it doesn't have to get too bad for them to get what they want. Because
No, it don't.
it doesn't have to get very bad before he declares martial law and suspends the Constitution, suspends the presidential election, or any elections.
Well, you
really,
can see
really doesn't have to get that bad.
Yeah, you can see where it will be to his advantage. The sooner that this does happen in his favor, the quicker it's going to benefit him. So you can see where it will be a majority in his favor, or something that would be a great asset to him if this did happen like tomorrow versus 2 weeks from now. The sooner it comes to him.
I'm hearing late October, early September, but that's all I'm hearing. But what I'm hoping is that we do, that's part of why I wanted to bring it tonight. If we get enough information out there, if we get enough people hearing about it, when and if they do try it, it won't go over like they think, or we'll be able to turn it around on them because people are too aware. And these people aren't rocket scientists and not as smart as they think they are. But a lot of this also could be false info, disinformation, because that's what a lot of the government does. They give you all kinds of information, some of it true and some of it not true, and you're sitting here trying to figure out what to do, how to handle it. So they just might be playing games with us for all I know.
And then you get blindsided.
Well, they might have already decided. There's a lot of talk too that, and I've seen articles and heard about articles in newspapers and magazines and newscasts that they, for the last 3-4 years, you didn't hear this kind of talk about Obama, negative things, and then they start doing it. And it's like some say that the puppet masters have already decided that Obama's damaged goods, so he's gone. So maybe they want to put out this kind of information to make it look bad, to get people to turn against him, just to help push things along. But I don't think they would have to do that to help stop him from getting elected. They could just stop talking nice about him, or not talk about him at all, and that would probably be enough to push it over, because I don't really think he's got a chance without something bad happening.
Well, when they own both sides of the equation, what's it matter?
Well, that's true. And I was hoping somebody's going to bring that up.
What's that?
That it doesn't matter what side wins the election, that we've got another Obama in there anyway. Romney.
That's true.
The difference between Obama...
Go ahead, Al.
Well, the difference between Obama and Mitt is Obama's on the superhighway to hell, and Mitt Romney's taking the scenic route.
Yeah.
I like it.
Like, you've heard this before, 1 step forward, 2 steps forward and 1 step back, But that may be all we need, is a step back, to slow things down, to let people start catching up. But I'm also worried, just like a lot of people have talked about on lots of talk shows, so we're not talking about anything new here, folks. We're not breaking any news. The fact that, something, I just lost where I was going. Ah, dang it.
Wait, you're right, though. It's like the 2 steps forward, because if you think about it this way, the Democrat, like Obama, spend like a crazy person, and then whenever Romney comes in and spends like semi-crazy person, it doesn't seem as bad, but he's still, Yeah, it's like the same thing Bush did. It's been getting worse and worse, for the last, 2, 3, 4 decades, or maybe more. It just seems like it's like if someone's beating up on you, and then the next guy only punches you a couple times, it doesn't seem that bad, relatively speaking.
Obama spends like a 1%er, and Romney's going to spend like a 10%er.
Yeah.
But I guess it's kind of. Did you have more to say? I didn't mean to jump in there.
No.
Okay. I guess it's a wait and see and be ready for whatever. But I just hope that people are waking up fast enough to make a change. And if we can get enough of the right people in there this time, maybe we can slow things down. But I don't think we're going to change it anytime soon. Just have to keep going and keep working at it. And, because I don't want to see what's going to happen. Is if if they stage a false flag event and then suspend the Constitution or declare martial law, just the fact they declare martial law, if they did that, would mean a lot of people dying. And that's bad enough in itself. But then when they're going to want to come get your guns, so because there'll be more. But people won't go to work because it'll be too dangerous, or enough people won't go to work because it'll be too dangerous, that the economy is going to fall. Then the government gets what they want again, because there's going to be too many people looking for the government to save them, just like they did in the Great Depression. That's where a lot of this shit started. And when they start looking for government who caused it in the first place to fix it, it's not going to be fixed. It's just going to get worse. And if it gets worse, there'll be more people dying. So that's what, and I say this all the time, but that's what we're here for. We're talking about this kind of stuff. Hopefully, maybe we'll get a couple more people to listen to us, and every time somebody new comes in and starts listening, maybe opening their eyes a little bit, if their eyes aren't already open. And I figure if they come into this show, that they're already kind of got their eyes open anyway. But maybe they were like me, not as open as they were. And I still think I got some learning curve to go to, because I still have such a hard time dealing with the fact that I really believe that they would do this kind of stuff. I really believe that they've done this kind of stuff in the past. I'm talking about the false flags. And I don't just mean Obama. I mean for many, many years in the past, just to get what they want.
Well, really, the only thing we could do is hope for the best, the outcome of this whole deal, but prepare for the worst to happen. And
that's part of the prep part of this show. Prepare for what's going to happen.
You know, we don't want to get caught with our pants totally down around our damn ankles.
You need to speak up a little bit, Jim.
So you don't want to be caught with your pants totally around your ankles in this deal.
And don't drop the soap.
Yeah, and that ain't that for sure. Don't drop the soap. Forbid on that one, especially around that Mac Daddy. But anyway, yeah, you're right on that. And we got very short time, very, very short. We're down.
And that's part of what we're getting ready to take care of. We're going to go do some shopping tomorrow, and I'm off Monday. I'm going to do some more shopping for some more supplies. And before I forget, Al, I'm going to jump over to you. You still there?
Yeah.
Tell us about the picture and what your visit to Florida.
Well, I had a surprise visit to Tampa last minute. I mean, I went to work last Monday morning, and in the nature of my business, we had a customer in Tampa because of the storm that came through there. It knocked out their server, and so I had to grab a flight down there with another server, and the way the plane was delayed coming to Dallas, and there was about almost a 5-hour delay altogether. I ended up getting down there at about 11:30 their time, and I was driving through Tampa on the way over to the customer side, and this company of stormtroopers come running by the car, blocking traffic, and kind of caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting that. And then the next day I was driving back to the airport and saw the same thing again, and I got some pictures of these guys. And I went to a hotel the night before, and I saw police cars, deputy sheriff cars from all over the whole Southwest, I guess. They were from Georgia and Florida and Alabama, from everywhere. And but anyway, they all had their stormtrooper uniforms. They were all wearing, same, and kind of a khaki brown with black. Looked like with like hardened coverings over their knees and elbows, and like they were prepared for rights. And
yeah, the stormtroopers getting their kicks off, intimidating the honest citizens.
But what was so funny about it was I only saw I drove right by the convention and kind of drove around a few times, and I saw maybe 4 people holding signs. I saw 3 people in a pig suit with pig suits with signs that said "cut the pork," and there was these gorgeous models standing with them. I mean, they were very threatening, of course. But, yeah, I mean, it was bizarre that they spent the kind of money and had the kind of force there.
Well, we already know they're willing to beat women. You saw that video.
Oh, good grief! There was that woman they body slammed in.
Yeah,
pistol whip. Everything else you want to say? Yeah, Katrina.
No, this was the other day. But we'll go back. We'll go back to that in a minute. But go ahead.
But anyway, I saw on the news today that the protesters are promising a bigger show at the Democratic convention. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure they'll move the same troops over there.
Yeah, they're even. Well, I'm going to go just do this real quick and get back to where we're at. Part of what I was talking about earlier, and I forgot this part, was there's rumors that the Occupy group will be part of the late October, September surprise thing. So, they're just kind of sitting back right now, and you haven't heard much, but they're still there.
Well, I tell you, they only got to do 2 things to kick this thing off. All they got to do is not print welfare checks and shut off power.
Yeah, I mean, and they could.
That's all they got to do. That's all they got to do. They not print welfare checks will generate just almost anarchy to no end, and cutting off the power, and people will be begging for relief.
Yeah, come save us! Come save us!
Yeah.
Even though you're the one that did it. And that
will affect a lot of them, but
there's only 3 days of There's only 3 days of food on the grocery stores.
And that's if you're in a place that's well supplied.
Yeah. And if you shut off the power, nobody can draw any money out of the bank. Nobody can pump any fuel. Trucks aren't going to be able to deliver anything, and you'd have total anarchy, which is what they want. They want to have a civil war within the country. It'll start with the military against military for the ones that don't go along with it, against the ones that will go along with it, and same in the police departments. And Stephen Quayle was on Alex Jones last week, and he's pretty well connected with people inside the government that aren't going along with it, and they're telling him that they have about 70 million Americans targeted that they will not be re-educated, and they got about 70 million people targeted for death, I guess you could say.
Termination.
Yeah.
Or re-education.
Well, no, they're not even going to try to re-educate the 70 million. And he also claims, and I've heard this for years, that they already have all the 70 million. They have their front doors GPS. They have coordinates on them.
Well, I know one list I'm on then.
Yeah.
Adam Bomb got your door marked.
Well, now I'm going to go to something else. Are you done now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go to something else. Now, when I keep mentioning that I have a hard time believing or dealing with some of the things I hear, but every time it seems like I start checking into them, which is why I'm here, because I start checking into some of these things, and I'm going, yeah, wow, maybe it is true. And then I go, wow, that is true. The different degrees of it. So the other day, they were talking, and I don't remember which talk show, because I listened to several different ones. that they were talking about, well, this might have been Alex Jones, but anyway, they were talking about weather control. And they were talking about, back when Katrina hit, they were saying that it was Bush's fault. He had that happen because he hated black people. And I was going, God, that is so ridiculous. Now, I don't think he did it at all, and I don't think if he did do it because he hated black people. But he, whatever. There was more talk about that the other day where they discussed even how weather control worked. And I'm sitting there, I've always thought this is so much BS. And I know that they go seed some clouds to help make it rain in an area that needs more rain. But then they're going, they can use the same kind of, and I checked on several places and there's a treaty that says we won't use that technology against other countries that are in the treaty. That to me says there's something to it, and that was one of the first things I came across. And as I went through and found a little bit of information here and went on this sidetrack and that sidetrack, I find that there's not only do they can just control a small little area, then at least that's what they're talking about. I'm still having a little bit difficulty believing in it, but I wanted to bring it up anyway. They can do a very large area and make it get a lot of rain or no rain. They can hurricanes in directions. And they even went into how they did it, how they used the chemicals to create certain reaction in the atmosphere to create low pressures or high pressures to guide something one way or the other. And I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm going, I was just joking the other day with one of the guys at work about that comment that Bush had made that hurricane go in the direction he wanted just because he hated black people. Now, we were making fun of that. And then I was sitting there that night and I'm going, let me look into this, and I start finding all kinds of different stuff. And I'm going, God dang it. There's another one I thought was just joking around. It was just completely ridiculous. And I find it could be true that they could do stuff like that.
Well, hey, who's in charge of the White House right now?
Who's in charge of what?
You got Obama in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the RNC down there?
Well, that was
in a hurricane.
Yeah, and then it didn't go where they said it was going to go. I guess since they canceled it, they might as well just skip the area and go straight to New Orleans and see if they can cause some other kind of problem. But I don't think they did it because I haven't seen.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah. Now, there was a bunch of stuff also being said that they're going to guide that thing into New Orleans and they're going to have Obama come in to the rescue and be contrasted against Bush, and he's the savior type deal. Now, it didn't happen. Now, was it planned and because there was so much talk about it that he didn't do it? Or was it just a fluke of nature? I still have to believe it was a fluke of nature. I still can't quite get myself to believe that they can drought a whole area, they can flood a whole area, they can direct hurricanes. But dang it, there's information sitting there showing that it's a possibility. And they just shot me down again. Something I thought for sure was not right might be.
They can knock out a levee.
Yeah, there was a levee that they said has never got knocked out before, but all of a sudden this one did. And I was thinking, there's going to be conspiracy theories there, but as far as I'm concerned, it could have just been, since they rebuilt all those other levees, that water backed up to a different area and was put more pressure on an area that hadn't had that much pressure on it before because of it, different water movements and everything. So that could be all all there was to it.
Maybe it was a training exercise to see if they could snatch the guns and to see how people react and how how they could simulate a more mass, and then they could kind of ramp it up to a bigger scale.
Yeah, I didn't hear or see too much about any major problems yet down there, but that doesn't mean they,
No, I'm talking about Bush.
Oh, about Bush.
Katrina.
Yeah, who knows what the deal is, because they're all owned by the same dang people. So,
Has there been any gun confiscation going on down there this time?
I haven't heard of any yet.
We didn't hear of any the first time.
Yeah, not right away. We didn't.
Oh no, the mayor of not the mayor, the chief of police was on television saying that they were going to collect the guns the first go around.
Where?
In a news conference, in Katrina.
Yeah, in Katrina.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I didn't find out till what had happened. I didn't realize that it had been announced.
You should have got life in prison for that.
Should have.
And the reason I say that, because people that got their guns taken away got killed later by looters. They didn't have a chance, and so he complicit. He should have been declared, a
co-conspirator.
Yeah. He was just as guilty as the looters.
I agree. And anybody that had anything to do with it, the police officers and Army, Navy, whoever, anybody that went in under orders to do it.
So there were units down there that refused to do it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. There was some that didn't, so why didn't the others? And they should have done it too. They should have said, no, we're not going to do that. And they should be, at minimum, kicked out of the police department or whatever they were doing, and probably some jail time to go with it, because we know that there's laws out there saying if say you're in the military or whatever, and it can be police too. If you're told to do something that is illegal and you do it and you know it's illegal, then you're guilty.
Yep. Well, I've always say once the Constitution gets suspended, there's no law.
Yeah, that's true.
There is no.
Every law on the books gets its power directly from the Constitution. Even the president is no longer the president.
No, he's king then.
Call himself whatever he wants.
He just whatever he wants to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree there.
And so really, when the Constitution is suspended, and then if they do put it back in play, I could be charged with a crime that you committed when there was no rule of law,
Yeah,
right.
If they're going to suspend the Constitution, then they're pretty much going to take over the government, because they have no power to suspend the Constitution, right?
No.
So it's pretty much just a government takeover.
Right.
So,
well, by declaring martial law,
that doesn't mean that
it basically suspends the Constitution, because it takes your rights away from you. Any right they want, basically, when it comes right down to it. They may say, well, it only affects certain things, but when it comes right down to it, martial law is you don't have the right to anything. They have the right to tell you anything they want to, and you don't have a damn thing to say about it unless you're fighting for it.
Well, did you see where Alaska has started
Yes.
stockpiling food?
Yes, I have.
The governor there. And according to Stephen Quayle, they part of this these training exercises they've been doing in Minnesota was to basically take control of state governments, because they expect the state governments to resist.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I heard part of what was going on there. Part of the story. I didn't hear the whole thing. I don't know how much, if there is a big story behind it, or if it's just a little bit of news that got out. But I didn't know it was the governor behind it. But it kind of would have to if the whole state's doing it. So.
right.
I just can't believe how they could get a big enough group of people to follow along with that. What would be the angle that they would approach it as?
Well, it depends.
It's foreign troops. They're bringing in foreign troops. That's what Stephen Quayle was saying. They're documented. They're bringing in foreign troops and dispersing them all over the country.
And there's lots of reports of people seeing them, too.
From what countries? What countries?
Eastern Europe, Russian, Chinese. There's been Chinese troops in Long Beach for years now.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And I don't know if that's part of what they're doing, but anyway, so what they'll do is they'll create this huge civil unrest here, and then they'll, under the ploy of NATO or whatever, to they're going to use foreign troops to supposedly bring in peace, and because they know the NATO troops aren't going to, or foreign troops aren't going to have any problem firing on Americans, not at all. So
and we've got troops that here have been so drugged up and trained to just do whatever they're told. There's plenty of them that will do it, but I think there's a whole lot more that won't.
Yeah.
But that plays into their hand too. They don't.
But they're all overseas anyhow.
Yeah.
And that's why they're saying that the ex-military is going to be one of their biggest problems, because they're back in society. They're with their families. Anything starts happening to those, to get to them to the certain point where you try to take their guns or their rights, or you hurt their family, or they perceive their family might get hurt, and they've already been trained. They already know they can kill and will kill, so they're looking at them as enemies.
Well, if all hell breaks loose, what do you think the cops are going to do? They're going to go home to their families.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they're going to, if that situation comes about, cars cut off, just shooting everywhere, total anarchy. The cops,
they're going to go home and protect their family against foreign troops.
They're not. That's exactly what's going to happen.
And the cops that they know are bad, because these cops are going to know who the bad cops are, for the most part. Especially in the smaller communities, they know who's who and who would probably go along with this kind of thing. And those police that would go along with it might not make it very far. They might be taken care of by their own people in their departments. But, who knows? I mean, this is all conjecture of how it would play out. And I think that's where they're making their mistake at trying to cause something like this. But then on the other hand, it really plays into their hand no matter what, except for if it doesn't succeed in causing the problems they want. Hence, again, that's why we're talking about it. Anybody got anything to add? Anybody? All right. How about this? Let's go to some prepper stuff. You got any prepper stuff you want to add in tonight, Al? I got some stuff, but I'm going to let you go first if you got anything.
Not really, other than I'm busy at it.
Well, that's good. We're going to get some more busy at it here this next few weeks, starting tomorrow.
I don't like shopping at Home Depot, but Home Depot does have some of the best pricing on 5-gallon food grade buckets.
I hadn't even thought about Home Depot for that.
Well, I don't know if you can get them at the store. You have to order them. They're like $5. Huh?
Jim says they're at the store.
They're like $5.
Yeah. And just put the lid on and hammer them shut. Yep.
Yeah. And everywhere else they're like $9 and $10, and I know that that's some of the best pricing I've seen. And but there's a few things I've still got to work out. There's tons and tons of good videos on YouTube about prepping. Pretty much everything you think of. Food, water, cooking. I've seen people on there vacuum sealing bullets. I do know that Cheaper Than Dirt's got some bullets in. It look like big sardine cans. 7 points. I don't know if they got any 2.23 or 5.56. I know they got the 7. The Russian rounds. They got them in like 650 rounds to a can. Comes with a little can opener, but it's vacuum sealed, and they state on there that it's you can bear it as is.
Yeah. Well, Cheaper Than Dirt is not always the cheapest you can find, and plus you and I are both in Texas, so we have to pay taxes on that too. So take that into consideration.
Right.
I'll tell you what. Right now, you can get stuff at Cabela's with free shipping. Free shipping at Cabela's through September. You know it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of time if this comes to fruition, but even if it doesn't, it could mean a couple of things. It could mean we succeeded in stopping them for now, which is a good thing, or it was just a bunch of misinformation to keep people thinking about what's really going to happen. I don't know.
Well, my the only thing the thing that has me stumped, or I hadn't figured out yet, is when they come around for the guns, do you want to have your gun and fight then, or do you want to have your guns buried and when the first wave settles down, you pull your guns out at that point? I'm just not sure which way to go on that.
Well, once again, I'm glad you asked, because I'm going to give you my opinion. And my opinion to me is very important.
Yeah.
All right. When it comes to the guns and the confiscation, here's how I look at it. I have some guns that they know about and some guns they don't. Depending on the situation, I'm going to let them have the first ones. If I'm overwhelmed and I can't do anything about it, there you go. There's my guns. But they're not going to know about how many I have hidden, or how many my friends have hidden, or how many family has hidden. And to tell you the truth, I don't even know how many family and friends have hidden. But I know for a fact, if they got all mine, I could still get some more. There's plenty of them out there, and I know plenty of people that do understand that the possibilities of what might happen.
Well,
That
I like
gun
how
confiscation
Matt-
could be possible. Huh?
I like how Matt.
What, Jim?
I said, I like how Matt said they can have the guns after all the clips hit the floor and I'm out of ammo. Then they can come get them.
Yeah, because I'm going to be dead anyway. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they can't hit everywhere at once. And
Exactly, they can't, and the word will get around to what's going on after just a few.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that kind of has been concerned is, are they going to be coming for guns, or are they going to be coming for, people?
And that depends too. I bet they come a little bit for both, and then again it depends on the situation. And I don't even know where to go on that one. I'm just kind of at a loss what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. I have suspicions that they'll start out by just coming to get guns, and they'll start out in places they think they'll get the least amount of problems with it.
How many of y'all have got ultimate means of communications? Because you're going to lose your cell phones and your home phones and all that.
Well, the only thing you can do there is get maybe shortwave.
No,
not many people have that.
Oh, they can jam that.
They could.
Which they would.
You're short. I've also got a ham radio.
Well, and that's the problem. If they really want to, no matter what kind of radio you got, they can stop you.
Yeah, according to info that Stephen Quayle had, they have special frequency set up that they've already distributed radios throughout the military and the police with special frequencies because they're going to jam everything else. And
I wouldn't doubt it a bit. And that's another thing. They know that people are preparing for this, so they're preparing means to thwart those preparations. And not just communication is going to be a problem. It's going to be getting from where you're at to where you want to go. Let's say you've got a place you want to go. And we've talked about this before. Are you going to stay at home and try to make it there and then have preparations to go someplace else if you can't make it where you're at? Because if my way of thinking is part of what they're doing with all this reinforcement of police and National Guard and everything else with high-tech, high-armored vehicles, highly armed vehicles, road stops, stopping people along the roads, getting people used to being stopped and asked questions. That means that is training to stop you from traveling. If you get to your spot where you're prepared then you can withstand against them or stand against them easier than if you're someplace where it's not so easy, you know. So you got a group of people, and a lot of people are doing this. There's a group of people, and we're all going to meet at a certain place, and we have our stuff there ready to go. We can survive there for years. We've got our food. We've got our stuff to grow crops, place to raise some animals, housing, whatever. All right. They don't want those groups to get to where they're going, because those are going to be the ones that can withstand or stand up against them and give them problems. So they want to stop you. Now, if you're at home and something goes bad and you want to go to your spot, that's what they want you to do, because they're going to stop you on the road, they're going to get all your stuff, and they're going to have you on the road, which is the easiest place to get you. It's going to be a lot easier to get you on the road than it is going to be to come into your home or your property if you live out in the country or something. But if you live out in the country, maybe you don't need to go anywhere. But that's not to say not to have those kind of places, because it could be a natural event that you need to get away from. You know, flooding, earthquakes, hurricanes, typhoons, tidal waves, whatever. So you still need those places, because maybe you can get to them and maybe you can't, but you still need that kind of thing set up. So my first plan is to try to stay where I'm at. But then again, like a lot of things, it just depends on what the situation is. I don't want to be on the road fighting not only against the government trying to get me, but other people trying to take what I've got. If they see me on my truck loaded up with stuff, that with a trailer or without a trailer, but you know they're going to see the stuff you got stacked in your truck,
You're a target.
You're the target for everybody and anybody that's got the whim, and there's plenty of them out there that if they see that there's a lot of people that you think are good but aren't good when it comes to in a situation like that. They're not prepared, and they see you got it, and their family might suffer or hungry or starving, needs. They'll turn around and turn on you and they won't be such good people then. And we know there's plenty of them that are already bad enough to do it. There's lots of criminals out there.
No, that, but the majority of the people aren't even going to have anything. They're not going to be prepped in any way.
Right. And so my theory is to try to stay where you're at and hold on if you can, to let a lot of people get through that part, because there's going to be a lot of people that won't be able to do anything after a while because they'll have already been dealt with. Either the governments will have got them, but or the bad guys have already got killed by the good guys because they tried to take something that didn't belong to them. If you can stay where you're at, and this comes to where I was talking to you a while back about ammo, Al, is there may be plenty on the streets, but you don't want to go on the streets if you don't have to.
No.
So.
Well, then that brings up the point, like I got several big windows, I've got to consider, like a sliding glass door, for instance.
Yeah.
Things like that are very...
Big picture windows, sliding glass doors.
Yeah, I got a big picture window in the master bedroom I've got to do something about. That kind of stuff is... I haven't found anything on YouTube about, defending stuff like that,
Well, it's such a hard thing to do. I mean, the neighborhood you live in, how easy it is to get to it, how far away it is from a major town. Your next door neighbor may be the one, and he, that does it to you. Jim knows a story about that. Jim's got a story about that.
Oh yeah.
He's got a guy that just lazy as can be, and he's already said, well, the ladies down the streets got her stuff already. I just go take hers and kill them.
Yeah.
So.
Brother-in-law. He said, why in the hell should I go out and spend all my money and stock up all like that when all I got to do is just go out here and knock her grandson in the head and shoot the old woman, and I'll just take their stuff.
Yeah.
And there's all of them, there's hundreds of them out there on the same attitude as he is, but
well, there's probably more than that, but
well,
that's
well, I got
part of
news
what
for him.
you got to deal with.
That old lady and her grandson are gonna be okay. Cause he's gonna get popped in the head himself. She's gonna be, her old grandson gonna be fine out there at that place. Because they're a little bit north of me. When he comes through my area, that's when I'll get his ass.
I don't blame you. I'd pop him in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if I kneecap him first or not, though. You know, it's just a thing. I might just do that just for meanness.
Oh, let's see
but
here.
I ain't
think
got
we lost
meanness in me anyway. What do I see?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you did saving lives, though. You know, that's justifiable homicide.
Mike, you still there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, I thought we lost you there for a second. I just checked to make sure.
He was checking his food supply.
Yeah.
Counting ammo.
My food supply wouldn't last me very long.
All right. Now, which brings me to the next part of the conversation. I have embarked on a new project. I'm not very far into it, and I think I probably mentioned last week that I got some new information, but I don't know if I mentioned it on the show or just mentioned it to Al or whoever. But I got some information in on solar power, wind generation. I've been checking on all kinds of different things. Got a project set up. I picked up a couple of things today to help start it. I'm going to start with wind generators. Because if you are going to stay where you're at, or even if you're not going to stay where you're at, you're going to need some power for some things, and you're really going to want it. Because not only is it you're used to it, and if you have some, it'll take the stress level down. For some things, you're really going to need it. It helps to take care of the things you're going to need to take care of. But even if it's just to have your, lower the stress level and let somebody sit back once a week, have a little, let's watch a movie and take the stress off, Just if it's just to keep the morale up, to have some lights, to do some reading, there's just so many different things that it's good for. But my biggest thing is, or my biggest motivator, maybe it shouldn't be my biggest motivator, is it would just be new as hell to tell the company that sells me electricity, here, buy it back, sucker.
I've been looking into that. Harbor Freight has some pretty good solar panels there. Pretty reasonable, 45-watt solar panels. And there's some YouTube videos, just kind of search it, and you'll find where a lot of people have been doing reviews on those solar panels.
Well, there's a lot of stuff out there on over Unity too, and perpetual motion generators and stuff. I don't know if any of it works, but it sure is cool to watch, and it'd be cool to find one that actually worked. And I was telling Jim today, if I can find one of these guys that got one of these generators where you have like a generator and a motor, and the motor, you get started with, it drives the generator, and the generator with a certain amount of modifications, the generator will put out more power than the motor is using, so that leaves leftover electricity you can use for whatever. Charge batteries, run TV, air conditioner, whatever level you want to take it to. It would sure be cool to go find somebody that actually got one and actually see that it actually does work. I would not mind spending the time coming up, building one or even buying one if I knew it actually worked. A lot of people say it doesn't work, but there's a lot of stuff out there that it looks like it might. But they can be faking it very easily. So I'm going to start out with wind generation because that's the cheapest one to do. And then I'm going to build solar panels because I would like to get to the point where there's enough electricity that if shit hit the fan, I could run heaters off electricity at least part of the time. or air
You're gonna
conditioners
have
when it's
to
really
get on
hot.
the move, brother.
Do what?
You got maybe 45 days and counting to get that all done. Or probably
Well,
less.
this wind generator I'm talking about building, I got an old squirrel cage from like a blower fan. This is one of the squirrel cages, the round one.
Yeah.
And you put that up vertically, so you don't have to build something that makes a bunch of noise with the props on it, or it doesn't have to be facing the wind. This you just stick up vertically on a shaft and let the wind drive it. From no matter which way the wind's coming from, it pushes it. And I got one over here, picked one up today that's got 2 small cages on it. So I'm going to experiment with that. And they've also got videos on there on how to build your own generator, how to coil your own wires, how to seal them up. Or you can take an alternator that's been modified from a vehicle to do that. There's all kinds of stuff out there. And I think I've already decided that I'm going to get the generator. I'm going to get an alternator and rework an alternator and use that to start with. But it might be pretty cool just to build one from scratch. Take a bunch of wire, make your own coils, and build one yourself. You get some magnets, and I'm making it sound much simpler than it really is, but it's really not that hard. Somebody say something?
I said, yeah, it's a task.
Yeah. There's a lot to it, but it's also cheaper than trying to build a decent-sized solar panel because those cells are expensive. Especially if you're going to build one, you might as well build them with a quality cell that's going to last you a while. And if you get the real cheap ones, they break easy and they don't last long and they're not very efficient.
Well, those Harbor Freight ones are already put together.
Yeah, the Harbor Freight ones are already put together.
45 watts. They were like They were like $80-something a piece.
Yeah, but you know something? I don't trust Harbor Freight and their quality. But I know a lot of people use those. But that's just not where I want to start. I want to build one, and I want to do videos on it. And just go from there. But there's nothing wrong with going and buying one from Harbor Freight to get started with, to have that.
Oh, I know where a bunch of them are at. Right now you can go get.
Yeah, I don't want to steal them, Jim.
You go down the highway. Those are 75-watt solar panels, brother.
Which one?
Ones along the highways?
On the highways for the flood control signs and these overhead signs they got lit up with solar panels. Those 75 watts. Those are the good ones. The government ain't going to need them. They're going to close the highways down anyway, so we might as well use them.
Yeah, that's true.
Might as well make some use out of our taxpayers' money.
Well, anyway, that's where I don't know how far I'm going to go with it, but I was thinking, if I built these things, they're be a lot cheaper in the long run, but they're still, I've got a shop out back. I could put a windmill on either corner of it, all 4 corners of it, do the whole top of the shed in solar cells, and that would be a bunch of power, a bunch of it.
What's your wind like? Is it pretty steady there?
Well, we do have time. There's good and bad times for it. It's not pretty steady, but that's why you go with solar and wind. But still, you can have nights with no wind. You can have cloudy days. You can have days with no wind. So that's why I was kind of interested in the over Unity stuff and the perpetual motion stuff, the magnetic drive stuff, because if you got one of those that actually worked,
you wouldn't need the other.
You wouldn't need the other. That's right. So Jim and I were talking, and if I can find one someplace in Texas, me and Jim might be on a road trip. And if it's up in your area, I'll let you know.
We can go to New Mexico or Oklahoma. I don't care. Well, we got to go. Just get it done.
I got to find one, and I'm not having a very much luck yet of finding one. So I'll just keep looking. And if any of y'all run across somebody they're in your area, let me know about it.
Yeah, when you go look at it, make sure they don't have it plugged into an outlet somewhere.
Yeah, that's what
they're tricking you.
I want to go see it work, inspect, make sure they don't have a battery stuck someplace that's running things, or they look great. I just don't know. I really don't. But I think, I know if those things work, I think I don't.
What time are you planning on
So,
being
Mike,
over here tomorrow, Steve?
Information.
livingnews.com.
And now we'll try to do a story on that picture. And when we get that picture story up, I'm going to go promote it on a couple forums and see if we can get a little extra traffic over there on that.
Good.
And I'm going to be working on an update on the Kel-Tec 2000, sub 2000. I've got the new rail and Picatinny's in for it, the 4-rail, the Picatinny's in it from Red Lion. We got those in. We're going to buy some more stuff tomorrow for it, so I'll be doing updates on that. And that'll be at bestbugoutbagcontent.com. There's also a link over on the news website. Did we lose anybody?
No.
No.
I remember.
I just got a
cheapest
recent
place to get your ammo is going to be
popped up.
Walmart. Just talking about now. I checked prices yesterday. I checked prices yesterday on ammo.
Oh, on ammo?
Yeah,
They do
cheapest
have
place to
good
get it
deals
right
at
now is at Walmart still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just
Right.
a little bit
Anybody-
higher than Academy.
I'm gonna need some tomorrow.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to go into? We're a little over an hour now, so if anybody's got something else, we can keep going, or we can stop now.
I don't have anything.
All right.
Anything else to add to it?
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the show, and we need to hang on for a minute and maybe give Mike a couple of ideas for the show notes.
All right.
All right. Let me get back over here. All right. I got too many windows open here. All right. So that's the end of the show. This is the Politics and Prepper podcast, Saturday night, 10 p.m. Central Time, every Saturday night. Stop by the websites if you get some time, that we just mentioned. Stop by them, give them a visit, give us some comments. Let us know what you think, like or don't like. Information you think would be great to share, topics you might want us to cover. So thanks for stopping by. We'll see you again next time. And hopefully I'll have some videos up on this show. So I took some video tonight, and I'm going to try to hit some of the high points maybe and put some video up on YouTube on that. I don't like doing it, but I think it would be good for me too. So, because I hate editing video. Anyway, that's the end of the show tonight. Stop by next Saturday night. Have a good time. Get prepared, folks. Shit might hit the fan someday. Bye.